I am your guide, Marcus Murray, and I just want to just jump right into this particular segment. We're picking up where we left off, and we're focused on the 5 areas that you have to be very critically aware of as you get to this beautiful point in life where you may have more years behind you than ahead of you. If you're in the age category of 44 and above, you understand that life has consequences, and the lack of knowledge literally is one of the most costly things that we can experience. I'm not sure if you've ever sat and wondered what life is going to be like in the future. Have you ever thought about that? What your future is actually going to look like? Since um, success has to be planned for, success is never a thing that happens accidentally. There isn't a person that says, man, I accidentally became successful. It doesn't work that way. It is with strategic planning. That's actually scriptural. The Bible says that an enterprise that's built upon wise planning and counsel will prosper greatly. The critical thing about that is it's true. In order for our lives to work out well, it is going to take planning and counsel. And this is critical, especially in a world where every counselor is not qualified. One of the things that I would challenge you to do, in particular, let's say you're investing, let's say someone's approaching you and they're talking to you about investing. Anytime the investment is over $1,000, you should do some great due diligence, because $1,000, although it's a small unit of revenue, it's not minor. So anybody that is worth their salt, is the way we used to describe it. They can bear the weight of scrutiny, which means you should be able to ask the tough questions. You should be able to ask a person, just if we put it in a slang perspective, how are you living? What is your life actually like? The reason that's important is one of the things that I found, especially getting involved in the podcast world, and I've now gone to a few affiliate summits and different things of that nature, and had an opportunity to interact with people that I've seen that have made a name for themselves, if you will, on social media. And we're talking about individuals that have thousands and hundreds of thousands of followers. I've been able to meet them only to find out that there was really a lot of smoke and mirrors and not a lot of substance. I would challenge you that at our age, we're not impressed is a statement that we should live by. We're not impressed. At this point, we have to use our discernment. Discernment is a spiritual gift. And I know we'll be getting to spiritual giftings and why they're important, keeping your spiritual person in order when we start talking about the elixirs of life, those things that actually keep you healthy and strong and well. But discernment is going to be absolutely critical as it relates to your finances. There is a fact of matter that isolation is very pricey. One of the things that we know is that people that fail to engage with others and become isolated, they run into a situation where they don't have guidance, they don't have advisors, they don't have people that they can trust because they've isolated themselves. At this point in our lives, we cannot afford to be isolated. In addition to that, one of the things that's very important at this point in life is our social engagement. It is critical that we remain, not just remain, but if we're not, that we become social. Why is that important? There is what I call a price for isolation. When you're isolated, you can almost become irrelevant. You are no longer current. You don't know what's going on. You aren't up to date with not what's going on television, but what's actually going on in real life. It is critical. One of the things, especially when you've got uh, 40 plus years behind you, what you want to do is make certain to get engaged find a community that you can become a part of. I chose the religious community, I chose the church. The reason is I wanted to kill two birds with one stone. Obviously we need to have our spiritual man in order, but at the same time we need socialization. So both of those things you can find in a quality church experience. And how do you find that? Well, we've got to become again social. We have to engage with people. We have to ask questions. So without having that social engagement that comes from like a congregation, you basically miss out on the human interaction, the corporate engagement. You can miss it, and if you miss that, there is a price that we pay for that. So make certain that you find that. In addition to that, you need intimate relationships. So if you have isolated yourself and you've separated yourself from people, then you miss the the joy of intimacy that comes. Like, how will you get married if you remain isolated? Although they are saying that many people are choosing the internet for dating. That's a very, I don't know how it works, but something is better than being isolated. Don't be isolated. But the flip side to the internet, which I need to talk about because it is a reality. I went to the grocery store around the corner from our home. And what was interesting, there was a gentleman there that works in the produce section, and he's probably about 60 plus. Life has not been very kind to him. And as a result of that, this role that he holds there, which is refilling the produce, may not be the most financially rewarding. And you can kind of look at him and tell that life has been really it's worn on him. But I speak to him. I speak to people because if we're going to succeed and actually win in the game of life, we have to, the only way that we can win, we need people. This doesn't happen in isolation. So I'm speaking to him, and it was really a sad moment. I had to come home and I shared it with my wife and my son, and I was sharing that this man had found a love interest on the internet, and he was telling me that he met an angel. And he was saying that she's so beautiful, she's like a model, and she actually comes from a very wealthy family in another country. And he said, I have to show you a picture of her. And he's going through his phone and he's still talking. He's looking to get his get to his photo area. But what's interesting is he talks about how much they connect and how they immediately fell in love. And her family is just so successful, and she's trying to come to the United States now. And he talked about the fact that she told him that she needed his help to help her get a banking account open because they were giving her a hassle in the banking system about opening an account when she's from another country. You already are probably ahead of me in this story, and that's why I felt the pain. There was so much excitement and joy in his eyes that he had found a love interest. But the problem with it is that this particular person is not real. And when he showed me the picture was a photoshopped image of this woman. And I just felt pain in my heart because how do you tell this guy that I think you're being scammed? And he said that he had already given money. He was helping her so that he could help cover her fees so that she could come to the United States. And it was just terrible. But he was so happy. He said, you have no idea how bad my life has been. And this is my chance. I'm so thankful that I got this chance and I found love. And I never believed it would happen for me. And he was going on and on. How do you tell him? So the only thing that I could say was, wow, wow. I said, now listen, the one thing you just have to be careful, okay? Because sometimes We just have to be careful because things happen, weird things can happen. So just be careful. Um, that's all I could say. Because what do you say? Well, for all of us that aren't in that situation, we can learn from it and we can beware. We don't have to just be careful, we can beware, right? Beware. If it seems odd, this is why we can't be isolated. Because when you don't have anyone to run it by, then we stand to be victim to we become victim to our own isolation. So being socially engaged is critical. There is something a lot of people have chosen to stay online instead of staying alive. They stay online instead of staying alive. Being alive is that's a human experience that nothing can come from the being alive experience. It's built for humans. Nothing can surpass it. Being a part of that experience of becoming alive and engaging with humans is critical, and we can't sacrifice that. Staying online is not going to replace being alive and engaging, the human engagement, meeting others, finding out what they believe and how they feel and what they like about the weather. Do you know when I go to the gas station at the gas pump, I'm talking to everyone at all the pumps. There's something to talk about. Wow, isn't it good? This gas, the price is lower. The price doesn't matter. I'm going to fill the gas tank up regardless. When the price was $7 a gallon, or if the price is $1.56 a gallon, I'm glad when it's 156. But it doesn't matter what it is. I have to have gas in that car because there's no way I've tried. There's no way to get from point A to point B in a gas vehicle without gas. Now, the next thing, what we want to do is find someone that we can mentor. One of the things that my wife has done, LaDonna is amazing. She is just, I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful and thankful that God blessed me with an amazing wife. So it really was that compliment, that completing. uh, Obviously, two imperfect people that come together. We're not 50-50, but we are 100 and 100. So when we come together now, we're at 200. And when we work together, we're at 100 times 100. So we're a million. So the key is I am literally thankful that we get an opportunity to do life together and to achieve things together and to accomplish things together. But what is really, really powerful is that working together and having a spouse can really be a rewarding thing. And it's one of those things that it actually exposes. That's what marriage does. Marriage exposes all of your weaknesses and all of your flaws. So if there are things that you are hiding out, you don't want to get married because boom, they're going to open up like a blooming onion. That's how marriage works. But when you find the mate, the Bible actually says that he who finds a wife actually finds a good thing and obtains favor with the Lord. And if you have favor with God, guess what? You have favor with man. You would be amazed at the doors that open just from favor. There are doors that I never have to knock on, they just open because of favor. And that's not because God is a respecter of persons, that's because there are principles that govern the kingdom. And you, my friend, have an opportunity to live according to those kingdom principles. But uh, isolation is not good, very, very costly. So find someone that you can mentor. One of the things that LaDonna did, she put together a group of ladies, and these ladies, they gather, they pray, but they've done something very unique. They've identified younger people that they can mentor. And I would submit to each person that's listening, find someone that is younger than you that you can mentor, someone that you can help. And that will be the beginning of coming out of isolation. So, um, How do you do this? Because if you're caught in a situation where since COVID, you've been kind of standoffish and you've not been able to get back into the swing of things, I'm going to encourage you to first go volunteer somewhere. That's the easiest way to regain socialization. You start by going to volunteer. You can volunteer at a church. The easiest way, if you're not involved or affiliated with a church, volunteer at a food pantry. Volunteer at a food pantry. If you are the type of person that you've been in or around the healthcare industry, volunteer at a hospital or volunteer at a nursing home. Offer to go in and read to senior citizens. If you have a beautiful voice, if people tell you, oh my goodness, when you sing, it's just so peaceful, or when you play the piano, it just reminds me of, if they say that to you, then that is a gift that you have to get back into the swing of things. What happened during that period of global isolation where everyone had to go to their respective corners? There are many people that became oppressed with a spirit of fear, a spirit of anxiety, and they've not been able to come back and re-engage back into the community. And if you are one of those people, it's not too late, but we want to do it strategic. So we don't want to throw you out into volunteering at a baseball stadium where there are like tons of people, or volunteering at an airport where there are way too many. No, not that. Let's start easy. Let's find a small food pantry where you can volunteer to serve. You want to give to others that are less fortunate than you so that you get an opportunity to see in real time how blessed you actually are. Believe it or not, some of us are finding out that even at our worst is better than a lot of others. So, therefore, regardless of the situation, we've got to break out of isolation, because at this point in life, isolation is very costly. Find someone to mentor, and then find a mentor. What does that mean, finding a mentor? Life is not meant to be done alone. Life is not built on learning through the school of hard knocks. If you want to abbreviate life, learn through hard knocks. Learning the hard way is a horrible way to learn, because it actually is very expensive. When you could be shown or taught or guided down a path of success, especially at this point in life, don't go it alone. You don't have to figure it all out. There are how to's on everything. What's amazing, I was the guy that had difficulty trying to assemble things, trying to put together bookshelves, etc., different types of things like that. But now we're in an age where, through the benefit of the internet and social media on YouTube, you can actually YouTube a video on how to do anything, how to check your thermostat when it's broken, how to change a washer on your bathroom sink. YouTube has everything, a how to on everything, how to scramble an egg, how to make an egg that's light and fluffy, how to make the perfect poached egg or the best fried egg. There's a how to video. You literally go to YouTube and you put it in the search engine, you search for it, and you push enter, and boom, you've got 14 videos. How to make a brisket. If you've never made a brisket, that is a real experience. But why go it alone? Why not abbreviate time, accelerate time, and at the same time create a situation where you achieve the results without learning the hard way? Learning the hard way is not the strategy for our demographic. At this point in life, the hard way is not the right route. Isolation is costly and we cannot afford it. There is a price to isolation that is so great that it is time for us to come forward and re engage. Now, I know there are some of us that want to send me a text or reach out. We do have a phone. Finally, Care Michigan, our sponsor and host, provided it to us. And I'll give you the phone number. And this is for texting only. You can send a text, and when you send that text with any question you have, I will reply. That number is 586 615 1450. 586 615 1450. And if there is a comment or a thought that you have, you can send it directly to me. I will see it and I will respond. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in just a moment on the next episode. Take care.